There is more to having a pet than just feeding and loving your animal. You have a responsibility to keep your pet safe and follow all guidelines and laws that concern them. The City of Bowling Green Animal Control Division provides quality enforcement pertaining to public safety, animal control, and animal welfare. In this edition of Spotlight on Bowling Green, we will take a closer look at the role of the Animal Control Division and its partnership with the Bowling Green Warren County Humane Society.
Some of the things that the animal control officers would respond to would be like barking dog calls, leash law violations, vicious dogs.
So many counties, especially in Kentucky, don't have animal control officers. They may contract out with a neighboring county, so it's really great that Bowling Green and Warren County do have actual animal control divisions to help anyone who has stray animals, nuisance animals. I don't think everyone realizes how fortunate they are, and we get complaints all the time on neighboring counties and they have nobody to call, and we have no jurisdiction in their county.
The Bowling Green Warren County Humane Society is an essential resource for the Animal Control Division and the community. The Humane Society houses the displaced animals and manages the health and population of these cherished creatures.
The partnership with the Humane Society is a strong one. We work hand in hand with one another. When we pick up strays, we take the animals to the Humane Society.
The Bowling Green Warren County Humane Society works hand in hand with the city animal control officers. We get phone calls constantly about either stray dogs or cats, just issues with animals within our city limits, and of course all of those calls are deferred through animal control and they respond, and if they need help or we need help, it's always such a great relationship. We love the officers that we have, and we're all in it for the same reasons, and that's to help the citizens in Bowling Green and to try to help the animals as well.
One of the benefits of having a relationship with the Humane Society is once a stray animal is brought to them, there's a potential that they can have them updated with their shots, bring them back up to health that they need to be health-wise, and then eventually one day can be adopted.
There are numerous guidelines in place to ensure the well-being of our pets, as well as the safety and cleanliness of our neighborhoods and communities. One of the responsibilities of the Animal Control Division is to enforce these laws and ordinances.
The waste ordinance for pets is geared to ensure that all pet owners are responsible to pick up the waste of their pets.
You'll see a lot of people walking their dogs down the sidewalk and stuff, and it's their responsibility to pick up waste left by their pet. We in some of our areas in town and the parks we provide baggies or gloves to help with that issue. The reason for the leash law is for the safety of the animals. So therefore they're not able to run the streets and be in danger of cars, other animals, or people taking them. So it is a city ordinance for them to be on a leash or be in control of the owner at all times. If they're on property and they're in a fenced-in backyard, then that's one thing, but when they go for a walk down the street, they need to be on a leash. So that way, even though the dog may be very obedient and with the owner as they walk, they don't have control of that animal in case they see another animal and run off and run out in front of a car or something like that.
There is a leash law in the city of Bowling Green. Many people don't realize that that is required for cats too, and people don't put their outside cats on a leash 99.9% of the time. So when your neighbor calls about a stray cat or a stray dog on their property, animal control, will go and pick up that animal, unfortunately. So we tell people, if you're going to have an outside animal, it needs to be on a leash. But if by chance it gets out without a leash, make sure that it has ID tags on. Make sure that it's microchipped. The animal control officers scan every animal for a microchip. We do too when it comes in. That's the easiest way to get your pet back home, especially cats. If a cat gets outside, you call us missing your black cat, we may get in 25 black cats that day. So if your pet is microchipped, it's the best way to get that pet back home. We also offer microchipping. You don't have to have an appointment for that. You can just come in any day except for Wednesday. The microchip cost is $20. It has a lifetime free registration, so that's a really great price for that.
Many people consider their pet a member of their family. The level of care that you give your pet oftentimes influences how long your pet will be with you.
Care of the pets is basically just common sense. Your pet should have fresh water and food every day and should have some type of shelter. When it gets to extreme weather temperatures, such as now in extreme heat, some shade is essential for your pet.
Pet owners a lot of times like to take their pets with them places, but think of the safety of the pet when you do that, and don't leave it in the car while you go in the grocery store or somewhere, and sometimes you're in there longer than you expect. And when extreme heat and the heat index is over 100, it doesn't take very long at all for the heat to get dangerous in a car, maybe even fatal for a pet. So in these conditions, you know, it might be best to leave the pet at home.
Spay-neuter is probably the most important thing in animal welfare. Our area especially has such a huge pet overpopulation problem. I tell people all the time, if someone gave me $1 million tomorrow and asked me to build the nicest humane society in Kentucky, I could do that, and in a month that facility would be full. One day alone we had 62 intakes, and people just don't realize how important spay-neuter is. And one unaltered cat and her offspring in the pyramid for 7 years can produce 450,000 kittens. I hear people say, my one cat isn't gonna make a difference. Well, it does, because it has kittens and those kittens have kittens. If everyone could work one day here in the Humane Society during spring and summer, you wouldn't have an unaltered pet at home. It's a serious, serious issue. The only vaccine required by law is a rabies vaccine. That is required by the state of Kentucky, that your pet be vaccinated for rabies yearly. But there are other vaccines that we almost feel are more important than the rabies vaccine, such as the booster shots for cats and dogs that protect against parvo, distemper, feline leukemia, things like that, that your cat or dog could be exposed to. Something as simple as going outside, you know, and interacting with another pet. So we have a lot of great veterinarians in our, you know, community. We also have a clinic here on our property. There's no reason cost-wise why people can't have this done. If they can't afford to have a real relationship with a veterinarian, you can come here and participate in our low-cost vaccine or spay-neuter program. We do that year-round. Always know that what care you give your pet is going to make your pet be with your family a lot longer. Pets are a very important, you know, part of many, many families, and we want to make sure that continues.
One of the chief duties of the Animal Control Division is responding to calls from citizens who need assistance with stray and nuisance animals.
If you come across a stray animal, what you should do is simply just call the 270-393-4000. Please give a description of the animal and where it's located and what it's doing, if it's doing anything at all. And we'll have one of our animal control officers come and try to find that animal and take it to the safety of the Humane Society. Don't
approach the animal because you don't know if it's friendly or not, and you also don't know if it's sick. So it's just best if you just call us and let us come and check out the dog. I think another issue that we'd like to touch on that the public probably don't know is we do set traps and capture animals, but when the weather is bad, like now we're moving into the summer months and the heat index is going to be really high, we won't set those traps then, because if something happens that we can't get back to that trap in time, you know, then that causes stress for that animal that's been captured in the cage, and it, or the worst case scenario, it dies from the heat.
The issue with feral cats is once you start feeding the cats, they will not go away and they'll actually multiply, it seems to be. So we have neighbors that call in complaints about you feeding the feral cats, and ultimately you're just trying to be nice. But the best thing to do is not feed the cat, contact animal control, we'll set traps.
Oftentimes, the behavior of your pet can affect the people around you. It is important to be conscious of your pet's actions in order to be a respectful neighbor.
When being a pet owner, try to take the responsibility of not only the pet, but also the surroundings around you. Your neighbors, other people in and around the area.
I think a couple of things that most people in the city don't think about with animal control. One would be the barking dog issue. Dogs by nature are going to bark, so if you put your dog in the backyard for a little bit for some exercise and they see somebody walking down the street or they see another animal being walked down the street, you know, it's pretty normal for a dog to want to bark at that and run the fence. And some dogs bark a little more than others, but you know, what seems normal to some people may be a nuisance to somebody else across the street or next door. So you know, while we understand dogs are going to bark, and everybody needs to understand that, if you have a dog that does bark a lot, be considerate of your neighbors and other people, because you know, you don't know the circumstances over there. You know, if it's during the day, they may work night shift and they're trying to sleep during the day and the dog's barking. It's just try to be considerate of your neighbors. And when you make that phone call to animal control, you know, just be aware also that, you know, it's normal for dogs to bark to a certain degree. It's just when it's continuous and becomes a nuisance to the neighbors that then we have a problem.
So try to take that consideration as far as trying to tone that down, keep it down, because we do respond to barking dog complaints, and that is against ordinance. So we're trying to be cautious and cognizant of others whenever you have a pet. If you have a pet issue with your neighbor, for example, and what I would suggest you would do first is just contact your neighbor, discuss it with them, try to be cordial with them and discuss your concerns. Try to work it out that way before actually calling animal control. Most of the time you could probably get it worked out before animal control even gets involved.
If you would like to learn more about this or any other Spotlight on Bowling Green program, contact City Hall at 270-393-3000.